So how do you ask without getting rejected? First, you don't ask out of nowhere. Intimacy should feel like a natural progression of the connection you've already built. If you've been having meaningful conversations, sharing laughter, maintaining eye contact, and creating a warm atmosphere, the energy will already tell you where things are heading. When the emotional tension is mutual, your words don't need to be complicated. Second, watch her signals. Is she leaning closer, holding eye contact longer, touching your arm when she laughs? These small signs matter. Intimacy is less about bold lines and more about awareness. If her body language is open and relaxed, you're in a safe space. If she seems distant or distracted, that's not the time.
Third, speak with calm confidence. Instead of making it heavy or dramatic, keep it simple and respectful. You might say something like, "I really enjoy being close to you," or "I feel a strong connection with you right now." This invites her into the moment instead of cornering her. You're expressing how you feel, not demanding something from her. Another important thing, give her room to choose. When a woman feels she has full control over the decision, she relaxes. Pressure kills attraction, but choice builds trust. If she senses that you'll respect her answer no matter what, she's more likely to lean toward you instead of away. Also understand this. Rejection usually isn't about you being inadequate. Sometimes it's about timing, comfort level, or where she is emotionally. If you respond with maturity instead of frustration, you actually increase attraction long-term. Emotional control is powerful. And here's the truth. The goal should never be avoiding
rejection at all costs. The goal should be creating a moment where both of you genuinely want the same thing. When intimacy is mutual, it feels effortless. There's no awkwardness, no hesitation, no convincing. Just alignment. If you build connection first, move with awareness, speak honestly, and respect her space, you won't need tricks or strategies. Intimacy will feel natural. And when something feels natural, rejection becomes rare because it was never forced in the first place.
Intimacy is built on emotional connection first, not pressure or timing. A lot of men misunderstand this. They think there's a perfect moment they have to catch, like it's some kind of opportunity that disappears if they don't act fast. But real intimacy doesn't work like that. It grows naturally when two people feel emotionally safe with each other. Without that safety, even the perfect timing will feel wrong.
Timing is often overrated. People think if the mood is right, the music is soft, and you're alone, then everything should automatically move forward. But if the emotional foundation isn't there, those external details won't matter. On the other hand, when the connection is strong, even a simple moment can feel powerful. It's not about the setting, it's about the feeling between you. Emotional connection also means understanding where she is mentally and emotionally. Maybe she needs more time. Maybe she values deep conversation before physical closeness. When you're tuned into her pace instead of your own desire, she feels respected. That respect creates trust, and trust creates openness.
The key is patience. Not the kind of patience where you're secretly waiting for a reward, but genuine patience where you enjoy getting to know her. When she senses that you value her as a person, not just the outcome, intimacy stops feeling like a request and starts feeling like a shared experience. Confidence matters, but respect matters more. A lot of men focus heavily on being confident because they believe that's what creates attraction. And yes, confidence is attractive. It shows security, direction, and emotional stability. But confidence without respect can quickly turn into arrogance, and arrogance pushes people away faster than insecurity ever could. Real confidence is calm. It doesn't need to dominate the room. It doesn't need to prove anything. When you're truly confident, you're comfortable with yourself, and that comfort allows you to be considerate of her feelings. You're not rushing. You're not forcing. You're not trying to
overpower the situation. You're simply expressing yourself clearly and letting things unfold naturally. Respect shows in the small details. It's in how you listen without interrupting. It's in how you respond when she shares something personal. It's in how you pay attention to her comfort instead of just your own desire. Sincere. A woman can feel when she's being valued as a person versus when she's being treated like a goal.
Many men think boldness alone prevents rejection. They assume that if they're direct and fearless, she'll automatically respond positively. But if that boldness ignores her pace or emotional state, it creates tension. Respect means understanding that she has her own timing, her own boundaries, and her own feelings that deserve consideration. When you combine confidence with respect, something powerful happens. She feels safe. She doesn't feel pressured to respond a certain way. She knows you're strong enough to handle whatever answer she gives. That emotional steadiness is far more attractive than aggressive pursuit. Respect also means accepting uncertainty. You're confident enough to express interest, but mature enough to handle hesitation without becoming defensive. That balance shows emotional intelligence. It tells her that you're not just thinking about what you want, but also about how she
feels in the moment. At the end of the day, confidence opens the door, but respect determines whether she wants to walk through it. When she feels respected, her trust grows. And when trust grows, intimacy feels like a natural step rather than a pressured decision. Many men ignore these signals because they're focused on their own nerves. They're thinking about what to say next instead of what's happening right in front of them. But emotional intelligence means slowing down and observing. You don't need to overanalyze every movement. Just stay present enough to notice changes in her energy.
Her tone of voice matters as well. Is she warm and playful? Or does she sound uncertain and distracted? Is she initiating conversation or just responding politely? Comfort is not just physical, it's emotional. When she feels at ease, the interaction flows naturally. There's laughter, curiosity, and openness. When she's uncomfortable, the flow becomes forced. Another key part of reading comfort is testing the waters gently. Small gestures, like sitting slightly closer or holding eye contact a bit longer, allow you to see how she responds without overwhelming her. If she responds positively, you can continue at that pace. If she pulls back, you respect that immediately. That awareness builds trust. The truth is, there are no magic words that guarantee a certain outcome. But when you tune into her comfort level, you reduce the chances of misreading the situation. You're no longer relying on guesswork or rehearsed lines. You're responding to her in real
time. And that makes everything feel more natural and mutual instead of forced. Thoughtful. Clear communication prevents misunderstanding. A lot of tension between men and women happens not because of bad intentions, but because of unclear intentions. When things are vague, people start guessing. And when someone has to guess what you mean or what you want, doubt naturally enters the picture. Doubt creates hesitation, and hesitation can easily turn into rejection.
Many men try to hint instead of speak directly. They hope she will just feel what they're thinking. But indirect communication often creates confusion. She might not be sure if you're serious, if you're joking, or if you're just testing her reaction. That uncertainty can make her guarded. Clear communication removes that pressure because she knows exactly where you stand. Being clear doesn't mean being aggressive or overly intense. It means expressing yourself calmly and honestly. For example, instead of making suggestive comments or dancing around the topic, you simply share how you feel in a respectful way. When you say something straightforward like, "I feel really close to you right now," it creates openness instead of tension. You're not demanding a response, you're sharing your experience. Clarity also gives her space to respond authentically. When you communicate clearly, she doesn't have to decode your behavior. She can decide how she feels without
feeling manipulated. That honesty builds trust, and trust is what allows intimacy to grow naturally. At the end of the day, people respond better to clarity than confusion. When your words match your energy and your intentions are transparent, the interaction feels smoother. There's less anxiety, less guessing, and more genuine connection between the two of you. Rejection often happens when a woman feels rushed, not valued. That feeling of being rushed can show up in subtle ways. It's not always about someone being overly aggressive. Sometimes it's just a shift in energy where she senses that the focus has moved from connection to outcome. The moment she feels like there's an expectation she has to meet, her guard goes up.
When a woman feels valued, she feels seen beyond the moment. She feels like you appreciate her thoughts, her personality, her presence. But when she feels rushed, it can seem like all of that disappears and the only thing that matters is what you want next. That sudden change can create emotional distance almost instantly. Rushing often comes from impatience. Maybe you feel the chemistry and you don't want to lose momentum. Maybe you're worried that if you don't act now, the opportunity will pass. But acting from fear rarely creates comfort. It creates pressure. And pressure makes people retreat because it removes their sense of control. Valuing her means respecting her pace. Everyone moves at a different emotional speed. Some people need more time to feel safe and open. If you try to accelerate that process, it feels unnatural. Even if she likes you, she may pull back simply because the rhythm feels off. It's not always a lack of attraction. Sometimes it's just a
lack of patience. You can tell when someone feels valued by how relaxed they are around you. When she feels appreciated, she laughs more freely. She shares more openly. She leans into the moment instead of analyzing it. But when she feels rushed, her responses become shorter. Her body language tightens. The energy shifts from warm to cautious.
The key is to stay present instead of projecting ahead. Enjoy the conversation. Enjoy the closeness. Let things build naturally without trying to force the next step. When she feels that you're genuinely enjoying her company and not just chasing an outcome, she relaxes. And when she's relaxed, she's much more open to letting the connection deepen on its own terms. The right mindset is about mutual desire, not convincing someone. This is where many men get it wrong. They think asking for intimacy is about persuasion, like they need to say the right thing or create the perfect mood to make her agree. But intimacy is not a negotiation. It's a shared experience that only works when both people genuinely want it. When your mindset is about convincing, your energy changes. Even if you don't say it directly, there's a subtle pressure behind your words. You're not just expressing interest, you're trying to influence the outcome. Women can feel
that difference. It creates tension because it feels like she has to respond in a certain way, instead of simply feeling what she feels. Mutual desire feels completely different. There's no forcing, no strategizing, no internal desperation. It's calm, it's natural. You express how you feel because you want to share it, not because you're trying to secure something. And if she feels the same, the moment flows effortlessly. Chuckles. There's alignment instead of resistance.
Having the right mindset also means being okay with any answer. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means your self-worth isn't dependent on her response. When you're secure within yourself, you don't need to push. You don't need to over-explain. You simply offer your interest and allow her to meet you there if she chooses. Convincing often comes from scarcity thinking. It's the belief that this is your only chance or that you have to make it happen now. But abundance thinking is different. It understands that the right connection won't require pressure. If the desire is mutual, it will show itself naturally through her body language, her tone, and her openness. When you approach intimacy with a mindset of shared desire, you remove the tension from the interaction. You're not chasing, you're connecting. And that shift in perspective changes ever.
I think it allows both people to feel free rather than obligated, and that freedom is what makes intimacy feel authentic and meaningful in the first place. Thoughtful. At the end of the day, asking for intimacy isn't about using the right line, perfect timing, or some secret technique. It's about connection, awareness, and respect. When you focus on building emotional safety first, everything else becomes easier and more natural. You stop trying to force moments and start allowing them to unfold.
If you stay confident but grounded in respect, pay attention to her comfort level, communicate clearly, and move at a pace that feels mutual, rejection becomes far less likely. Not because you avoided it with tricks, but because you created an environment where she feels valued and understood. And when someone feels valued, they're much more open. The real shift happens in your mindset. When you stop thinking about convincing and start thinking about shared desire, the pressure disappears. You're no longer trying to make something happen. You're simply expressing how you feel and giving her space to meet you there. That kind of calm confidence is powerful. And here's the truth. Even if she's not ready or doesn't feel the same, handling that moment with maturity and respect leaves a strong impression. It shows emotional strength. It shows self-control. And those qualities matter more than any smooth words ever could. Intimacy should feel natural, mutual, and so
safe for both people. When you approach it from that place, you don't have to chase or convince. You connect. And connection is what makes everything else fall into place.